Do you like American Psycho?
It's okay.
Although originally polarizing to audiences and critics alike, it developed a much-deserved cult following when released on digital video disc, or DVD.
That is Huey Lewis.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
They're okay.
And all parodying aside, he's absolutely right. When American Psycho released in 2000, half of audiences either mistook its intentions or overlooked it entirely. On its surface, it is the dark psychological thriller it's made out to be. But beneath it all?
American Psycho is ridiculous. It's farcical on many levels. The book is ridiculous, brilliant, but ridiculous, as is the script, and that's what we intend.
You look great. Very fit.
You can always be thinner. Look better.
Both on Bret Easton Ellis's page and in Mary Harron's depiction, American Psycho is, crucially, satire. Huey?
The movie works, both as a grim examination of male vanity, while also maintaining real genre thrills. Christian Bale's dynamite performance gives it a big boost.
I have all the characteristics of a human being. Flesh, blood, skin, hair. But not a single clear, identifiable emotion, except for greed and disgust.
This is Dorothea?
Yes, dear. Courtney, you're gonna have the peanut butter soup with smoked duck and mashed squash.
Initial reactions and misinterpretations of the film weren't just founded on the finished product. Ahead of the film, the book, a bestseller, had already been the target of protests calling American Psycho misogynistic, cynical, and needlessly violent.
Don't wear that outfit again.
That's probably because the characters in the story are misogynistic, cynical, and needlessly violent. That is the idea. And, of course, the challenge.
If they have a good personality and they're not great looking, then who fucking cares?
Well, let's just say hypothetically, okay? What if they have a good personality? I know.
And of all the people considered to write and helm the movie, director Mary Harron was the only person with a concrete answer to the question of how the hell do you do this? The only one who got it.
I think it clarified the themes of the novel. It clarified that the novel was actually a critique of male behavior. I think a lot of people...
This is Bret Easton Ellis, the novel's author.
Haven't read the book. And also brought the humor of the book up to the surface.
Patrick! Is that you?
No, Lewis. It's not me. You're mistaken.
Valentino Couture.
Uh-huh.
You look so soft.
Your compliment was sufficient, Lewis.
Because it is a satire on masculinity, and that is in the book. All the comedy of Bateman's ridiculousness, the absurdity is in the book. That was a very important aspect. I'm not making this a cool serial killer. It's a ridiculous person.
Tell him I'm at lunch.
Patrick, it's only 10:30. I think he knows you're here.
Send him in, I guess.
Just how ridiculous Patrick Bateman is, we'll get to in a moment, but for context, American Psycho follows a 27-year-old Wall Street banker in New York in 1987. It's a commentary on the greed and materialism of corporate 80s America, and the treatment of the men in these positions as essentially rock stars.
I work on Wall Street.
It's not a clinical dissection of the mind of a killer. Bateman is more or less an alien from another planet. He doesn't know who he is. He observes and copies what he sees,
I had a shower.
and tries to fit in solely by imitation, not emotion or social instinct.
She's my cousin. She's from France.
And this is what makes him such a brilliant vehicle for social satire. He is a twisted mimicry of everything around him.
Did you know that Ted Bundy's first dog, a collie, was named Lassie? Had you heard this?
Who's Ted Bundy?
Forget it.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that's what Christian got that I think none of the other actors I met with were going to get, because he thought it was really funny. And he thought the character was absurd. And that's why he was such a great choice to play it, because he wasn't trying to make him cool.
Some guys are just born cool, I guess.
You know, some of my favorite bits of the book are the sort of dorkier aspects of Bateman, the ridiculousness of Bateman.
Bateman.
For example, there's Bateman's go-to line for getting out of unwanted social situations.
I have to return some videotapes.
I've got to return some videotapes.
The way he checks his hair in the reflection of a restaurant menu.
Okay.
The way he quotes what he reads and hears on the news.
We have to provide food and shelter for the homeless and oppose racial discrimination and promote civil rights.
And then believes and acts on none of it.
Why don't you get a job? If you're so hungry, why don't you get a job?
There's the fact that the only thing Bateman watches on TV is overt sex and violence. The way he casually tries to get his blood-stained sheets dry cleaned.
I can only get these sheets in Santa Fe. These are very expensive sheets, and I really need them.
If you don't shut your fucking mouth, I will kill you.
Now listen, I have a lunch.
And then, of course, there's Bale's completely unnatural line deliveries.
J&B straight and a Corona.
Hey, McCloy, what do you say?
Hey, Hamilton, have a holly jolly Christmas. Is Alan still handling the Fisher account?
He finds himself in so many ridiculous situations and reacts in such a ridiculous manner. You know, he's certainly somebody that I wouldn't want to, you know, be at a table with and eating, but I'd certainly want to eavesdrop on his conversation.
I really don't think it would work. Something.
I know that your friends are my friends, and I've thought about that. You can have them.
The majority of the film's dialogue is pulled straight from the novel, dialogue which, of course, has virtually nothing ever to do with the work any of these characters ostensibly do.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry to barge in on you like this. I know how busy you guys can get.
So.
But I was hanging out with these young guys who were working on Wall Street and was doing research, having dinners with them, going to clubs with them, never being taken to their offices, never being taken to what was going on in their companies.
A group of men so obsessed with status, and to the most minute degree, they're practically having nervous breakdowns, trying to compete with each other.
Very nice. Let's see Paul Allen's card.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God. It even has a watermark.
Well, I have to say, it's one of my very favorite scenes in the book.
Yeah.
And I have to say, we really lifted it straight out of the book, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hardly been changed.
It's placed in the office instead of the restaurant. But it's,
that's right, yeah.
But you know what? It just goes to show you, though, that you read that scene in a book, but when it's actually played out, it has a different sting to it. There's something funnier. The ominous music, the editing shifts.
And part of that is just the visual, the uniformity, the fact that all the men who work at Pierce & Pierce have the same suit, the same hair, all misspelled acquisitions on their business cards, and are all vice presidents of the same department.
It seems logical because Marcus also works at P&P and in fact does the same exact thing I do. He also has a penchant for Valentino's suits and Oliver Peoples' glasses. Marcus and I even go to the same barber, although I have a slightly better haircut.
And it's this sly commentary on homogeneity and group identity that's reflected in Bateman getting away with the things he does.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Bringing us back to the A-side, the most polarizing aspect of the book and film that can't, and by all rights shouldn't be, ignored.
There are obviously, whilst it is funny, it is a black comedy, and this is an extreme black comedy. There are scenes of extreme brutality and ugliness.
The initial misreading of the book came from people who assumed that the book was all about violence. When actually, if you add up the violent sequences in this book, you're going to get about 4 pages. And you're going to have basically 396 pages of, you know, lists and social satire and stuff going on in Patrick Bateman's head.
Although everyone thinks my work is violent, I tend not to actually show the moment of violence. I'm not very interested in body horror. It's just a matter of taste, I think. I think if it's entertaining and not too realistic, then people are fine with it. I think that's why it tends to be sort of art movies that people get all head up about and outraged, because they are more real and more disturbing.
You're late, honey.
I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are.
I've been here the entire time. You just didn't see me.
But the primary thing is the satire that Mary has focused on. And therefore, I think a lot of people really really don't know. Have no idea really what kind of film we're making here.
Maybe Mary Harron's intentions behind American Psycho weren't completely clear a quarter-century ago. Maybe they still aren't on a first watch. But in the years since, the film has been elevated to cult status for good reason. Some things the world just isn't ready for.
You know, I have to always remind myself, sometimes I don't get it, you know, when I first see something, particularly if it's unfamiliar, it can be quite, there's something uncomfortable or disturbing, or it seems boring, or, you know, it's like it doesn't work. And it's also because you're just not attuned to it yet. And it's just, sometimes you take time.